Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and today we are doing depreciated luxury grand tours for all different budgets. Not, bro, just spend 100,000 buck budgets. I mean, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, all the way up to 100 grand in 10 grand steps. Because the best part about the luxury car world is that it's basically a parallel universe where somebody paid full price, took the hit, and then quietly left you a gift basket full of V8s, V12s, soft leather, and extremely questionable financial decisions. And the rules, well, they're super simple. Every price bracket gets one grand tour. Something that will do highway miles like it was born on the interstate. Something that can eat state. Something that makes you feel like you should be wearing a watch you can't pronounce, even if you're just actually wearing gym shorts and regret. Also, quick warning, these are depreciated for a reason. Sometimes the reason is people are bored. Sometimes the reason is this car has a complicated personality and it expresses itself with warning lights. So I'm going to tell you what to buy, why it's cool, and the exact kind of pain it might introduce into your life. Let's go. $10,000 Jaguar XK. At 10 grand, you're shopping in the land of beautiful cars, suspiciously affordable. And the Jaguar XK is exactly that. Long hood, smooth lines, classy enough to park at a fancy hotel, and it still looks like it's doing 100 miles an hour while sitting still. The reason it's here is simple. These got old, they got ignored, and then they got cheap. You can absolutely find used XK listings hovering around this money if you're willing to accept mileage and the normal used luxury coupe dice roll. What makes it a grand tourer is the vibe. It's not a track weapon, it's a cruiser that just happens to have enough engine to remind you that it's not kidding. The buy smart move at 10 grand is condition over ego. If the interior looks like it fought a raccoon, walk away. If the cooling system is sketchy, walk away. If the seller says it just needs a little love, that means it needs a lot of money. This is the pre-purchase inspection, or you are the inspection bracket. And guys, real quick, I've linked to all these great deals via Auto Tempest in the pinned first comment down below. And remember to go to winthisIdealCar.com to get entered to win your dream car. We're giving away 2 plus bonus cash. Next. $20,000 Maserati GranTurismo. At 20 grand, you can step into one of the most unfair automotive realities on earth. The Maserati GranTurismo, which looks like it should be parked in Monaco, can be found in this price zone depending on year and miles. This is peak Grand Tourer energy, big coupe shape, dramatic sound, and the kind of presence that makes normal cars look like appliances. Why is it cheap? Because the market is scared of it. And honestly, the market isn't totally wrong. This is one of those cars where the experience is amazing and the ownership can be educational. But if you get one that's been maintained like an adult owned it, it can be an absurd amount of car for the money. The move here is documentation. If it has records, you're playing the game correctly. If it has mystery, you're about to become a foreign person. $30,000 Mercedes S63 AMG coupe. Now, we're getting into the scary funny zone, because at roughly 30 grand, you can find examples of the S63 AMG coupe if you're shopping higher miles in older years. Think listings dipping into the high 20s to low 30s depending on condition and mileage. This is a rolling private jet with anger issues, a huge coupe, insane power, and the kind of cabin that makes you forget you're doing illegal speeds until you look down and your license starts sweating. Why does it depreciate? Because when these things break, they break with confidence. And parts prices do not care that you are now the third owner who bought it for 30 grand. This bracket is all about picking your battles. If you want a luxury GT that can also demolish the left lane like it owes it money, this is it. But you do not buy the cheapest one. You buy the best maintained one, and you accept that maintenance is part of the relationship. $40,000 Aston Martin DB9. At 40 grand, we can do something truly unhinged in the best way. Aston Martin DB9 territory starts in the mid-30s and climbs based on spec and condition. This is the classic modern Aston vibe, long, elegant, and it feels like it should come with a movie theme song. This is a grand tourer in the purest sense. It's built for being dramatic while covering miles. Why is it here? Because old exotic depreciation is vicious. The car is still special, the brand is still special, but the market gets nervous when hand-built V12 coupe meets out of warranty. The smart play is buying one that's been used like a car, not stored like a museum piece, but also not abused like a rental jet ski. Records matter here more than horsepower numbers. A clean history is worth more than a flashy spec.
Hey guys, real quick, Rocky from New York didn't think he'd win either until he actually did. GTR, cash, flight out here, weekend with us, car shipped home, life changed forever. If you've ever said, I never win anything, this is your moment to prove yourself wrong. Click the pinned comment, sign up, get entered, and go claim your shot. Now, back to the show.
$50,000 BMW M8. This is where the list starts getting hilarious because around 50 grand you can find used BMW M8 listings in the low 50s, especially higher mileage examples. Think about that for a second. This was a I Have Arrived coupe that originally lived in a world of absurd sticker prices, and now you can buy into the experience for used pickup truck money. As a Grand Tourer, the M8 is basically a missile wrapped in a nice jacket. It will do long trips effortlessly, then turn around and turn on the violence the second you poke it. The downside is that it's still a complicated modern performance luxury car, so you do not treat it like a cheap car, you treat it like a discounted expensive car. That's the theme of this whole video, honestly. $60,000 Mercedes AMG GTS. At 60 grand you can get into AMG GTS territory, with listings living roughly in the high 50s through the 70s depending on miles and year. This is a front-engine Grand Tourer that looks like a supercar doing cosplay as a classic long hood coupe. It has presence, it has noise, it has the kind of silhouette that makes people assume you have a personal trainer and a suspiciously specific skincare routine. Why is it depreciated? Because the world moved on, because AMG made a bunch of variants, and because buyers get nervous about maintenance on anything that wears AMG like a warning label. The buy here is spec and history. Don't get cute. Find one that has been serviced but not, has no weird stories, and doesn't have a tuned by somebody named Kyle situation. $70,000 Bentley Continental GT Speed. This is where you start shopping like a cartoon villain. The Bentley Continental GT Speed, the big W12 coupe, can show up around this money depending on year, mileage, and how brave the seller is feeling. Here's a current example sitting in the mid-60s. This is pure Grand Tourer. It is heavy in a way that feels expensive. It crushes highway miles. It turns bad roads into background noise. It makes you feel like the world is softer. Why does it depreciate? Because it's an ultra luxury car that becomes a normal used car, and then the running costs refuse to become normal. This is one of the best buy the nicest one you can cars on the list, and it's also one of the best have a reserve fund or you will cry cars on the list. $80,000 Aston Martin DB9. At 80 grand, you can jump into DB11 money, and yes, you can find listings in the 70s depending on miles and history. The DB11 is a perfect modern GT shape. It's dramatic without being try-hard. It feels expensive without being goofy. It's also the kind of car that makes you take the long way on purpose. Why is it depreciated? Because modern Aston depreciation is still a thing, and because buyers get nervous about out-of-warranty exotic ownership. The move here is to avoid the sketchy, too cheap to be real examples. Find a clean title, normal mileage, normal service. If you do that, this bracket becomes one of the most satisfying, I cannot believe I got this for this money, buys on the whole ladder. $90,000 Mercedes AMG GTC. This is the spicy one. The AMG GTC sits right around this rung, with real listings landing in the high 80s to low 90s depending on coupe versus roadster, miles, and history. This is the GT idea turned up. More attitude, more presence, more I am not here to be subtle. It still works as a Grand Tourer because it's a long hood, big power highway eater, but it also has that I might do something irresponsible edge. Why does it depreciate? Because it's a niche performance coupe, because there are a lot of similar fast options, and because buyers know parts on these are not priced like normal reality. The smart buy is the clean one with clean history. At this money, you are not bargain hunting. You are selecting the least dramatic future. $100,000 Rolls-Royce Wraith. 100 grand is where the list becomes comedy, because you can find used Rolls-Royce Wraith examples starting around $95,000 and climbing from there. This is not just a Grand Tourer. This is a rolling statement. The doors do the thing. The cabin feels like you're inside a very expensive lounge. The whole car is built around the idea that you should arrive relaxed, even if the rest of the planet is falling apart. Why is it depreciated? Because the original buyers were in a different tax bracket than the second buyers, and because everyone knows that if something breaks on a Rolls, the price tag doesn't even pretend to be polite. But as a concept, as a machine, as a highway monster that makes you feel like the world is your driveway, the Wraith is the final boss of this list. And that, ladies and gents, is the whole ladder. 10 grand all the way to 100 grand. Every budget gets a grand tour, and every bracket has a different flavor of this is an amazing idea paired with this could also be a terrible idea. That's the magic. You're not just buying speed, you're buying the feeling, crossing distances like it's nothing. And if you want the safest picks on this list, well, you prioritize condition and history over badge flex every single time, because the badge is how you get in the door, but the service records are how you stay in the room. Now, remember, I've linked to all these via Auto Tempest in the pinned first comment down below, and I have winthisIdealcar.com down there as well, so you can go get entered to win your dream car. Yes, there is 2 plus bonus cash. I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out some of these Ideal vids over here. Oh, and promise me one thing. Keep living the ideal lifestyle. Good skill.